Hey, so today we're jumping on here to go over three strategies to diminish foot pain. Just three simple ones that you can start with that will help diminish it. Won't get rid of it because there's other things that'll have to be done, but it'll start diminishing foot pain. So the first one is to be able to get out of your shoes as much as possible. Shoes have functions to them to help protect our feet when necessary. But we're meant to be able to mobilize our feet as much as possible, and shoes can create a lot of rigidity in our feet, which means that they're kind of holding our feet in place. So, I mean, imagine if something held, your hand in place or something else in a position for a long period of time, how that would affect it, how it would eventually start causing pain because it's being held in a position that is not meant to be held in. And our feet are meant to, be spread and open, and lots of shoes hold them in not great positions, and also put them in bad positions, if we have a heel lift or the toe squeeze in, and can create other issues, which we won't talk about today.
When you think about the most skilled athletes out there in the world that use footwear, that use shoes, they have some of the most high-tech footwear that's on planet Earth, okay? They have companies actually making shoes for them. They actually have shoes being formed, being catered, and their foot being molded so they can make a shoe. I mean, think about how many different professional basketball players that have their own shoe, right? But also, those athletes also have foot injuries all the time, and they also have foot problems. But they have these special high-tech shoes. The shoes protect to a certain point, but even these if you look at a basketball player, NBA basketball player, if they take their shoe off, their feet are mangled, and the longer they play in those shoes, at the end of their career, their feet are like jacked up really bad, but they're always dealing with those problems. So even in their career, I can't tell you how many different NBA athletes that I've seen, not personally, but you always hear about, this particular athlete has an injury and is out for 2 weeks, and then now it's out for 6 weeks. And some athletes that haven't played for 6 months or a year because they have had a foot injury and they keep re-injuring it. If the shoes are supposed to protect their feet, are supposed to help them not have these injuries, why they keep having them? And the shoes sometimes will protect the foot from having the injury in the foot, but then we'll go up to having a knee injury instead, or a high ankle sprain, things like that. So it mobilizes the foot, or it keeps the foot stationary to where it doesn't allow it to move in a certain position, so then it just goes up the chain and injures somewhere else. So we're meant to get out of our shoes. And shoes are meant for purposes that we'll use them for, but they're not meant to keep you from moving your foot in a different pattern, okay? In different patterns of movement. They're important for that. So the next thing that we're going to start talking about is moving around the foot and the bottoms of the feet in different textures. So when you get out of your shoe, and we're not asking you to walk across hot coals or glass shards or nails and 2x4s or just sharp objects that's going to rip your feet apart, or just doing things that's like out of the question. But we're having you to sensitize your foot. If all you do is wear a shoe all day long and something to cover your foot doesn't feel anything. It doesn't touch anything. So that desensitizes your feet. And so what it'll make you is hypermobile. It make you very sensitive. Hypersensitive to touch. So if your foot barely touches a blade of grass, you jump and you're, what was that? Again, that could have been a Lego or a Hot Wheels car or something, and again, that hurts. But if it'll get to a point where you can barely touch the foot onto a wood floor, and it's uncomfortable, like excruciating. So what it does, it desensitizes your feet. Your shoes do. And if you put your foot in different textures, such as the wood floor, the carpet, sand, light little pebbles, walking through the dirt, in areas that are not foreign to you, then you're going to sensitize your foot, which is better health for your foot in the long run.
And, in thinking about that, if our feet are very sensitive, because we're keeping them covered all the time and not getting them out and moving them on different textures, and that's also creating pain, because every time we hit one of those things, you step on something that's a little beyond soft, then you cringe away from it. And every time we jolt away from something, think about it, that's creating more tensioning, which is causing more pain. And for me, I find when I get out and move around, like we have where we put out like river rock, and they're different textures and everything, and just moving around on that, it allows for my feet to start feeling things, because we're meant to feel things. Our feet have 7,000 proprioceptors per foot, and that means we're supposed to be able to feel around on terrain. And what that also does is, as we move around on various textures, it allows other parts of our body to adjust. Think about the standpoint that of reflexology, that there's a point in our feet that coincides to everything else on our body. So just moving around on various textures and hitting some of those pressure points in the foot is going to help create adjustments in the rest of the body, which is super important. So, and just be mindful of what those things are. Walking around your house, there shouldn't be anything other than maybe a Lego or something if you have kids that you might step on that's dangerous. But, most people are walking around on hardwood floors or, tile or carpet. That's great to start with, and then get out and get into the grass, get onto, river rocks, not walking across like all these like pointy rocks. But I remember back to when I was a kid, and I could run across anything because I was always barefoot. And then as I got older and was in shoes a lot more, that sensation got heightened.
It changed.
It changed because I wasn't out of my shoes as much and walking across those type of surfaces. Because the other thing with walking across those is it helps us, it hits the reflex points and helps us find release in the foot. It also helps our foot strengthen. The other and then number 3 we'll hit on is to take our feet through various ranges of movement. So when we, that can be done in or out of shoes, but especially out of shoes, just pointing and flexing the foot, doing circles with the foot. Take and use your foot to write the ABCs. That all moves our foot and creates mobility and elasticity in the foot. It's also creating strength in the foot, because everything in our body, not only, a lot of times we think it has to just be strong, but we need as much flexibility as we have strength. So I always think of it kind of like, a trampoline, and how you're, and a trampoline's very strong, but yet it's very flexible. So it has that rebounding effect. Our feet need to be the same way, because they're what is taking the impact of the ground and springing us into motion. So if we take away that ability to, mobilize the foot, then it's going to create issues through the rest of the body. So, you think about it, if you immobilize one thing, that mobility's got to happen somewhere else. So it's going to follow the chain. Or if we immobilize something, sometimes it's going to immobilize something up the chain and create a whole another string of events. So those are, those are the three strategies to start with that you can, start right away.
Yeah, easy to do.
Easy to do. Anybody can do at home. And then, beyond that, then you have to start looking at, how is the structure of the foot doing? And that's where, learning, getting a better knowledge of how the foot works, how it's supposed to be positioned, healthful release techniques, and stretching and strengthening exercises is what we take all of our clients through.
Yeah.
And those that do the work see tremendous results and come out of issues like plantar fasciitis, heel pain, their bunions begin to diminish. So they're, just because of our age, that doesn't dictate that we can't make lasting changes. Correct. So given all the right tools, you can do that. So start with these three strategies, and then, get with us and learn more ways to continue that work to turn the feet around so that pain diminishes and your feet are working for you instead of against you.
Yep.
Anything to add?
No, that's good. We just touched on the cusp and the skim of the outer layer of the easy strategies you can do. And again,